who don't, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Christy Fox. I'm relatively new executive director of the PBCJA. I started this position in early March, so my first week on the job was primarily spent postponing events. While I think I was a bit heartbroken for our board, knowing that they have spent so many months planning CLE courses and other annual events that are now on the back burner, I think we can all agree that our board has done such an outstanding job taking time to stay connected with our members and presenting this engaging content and also providing free CLE credit. So proud that we have been able to bring you 14 free CLE webinars over the past 2 months. We want to thank everyone who was involved in helping us and putting these programs together and sharing invitations, including the ABOTA chapters and their presidents. And we also want to thank the many judges who have joined us to share updates, including, I think we have 2 judges on the call today that hopefully they might want to share updates today, Judge Carol Lisa Phillips and former Judge Karen Beavers. If there's any other judges that I've missed.
Judge Howery's also here as well, I think.
Thank you so much for being here. And thank you to all the attendees who have been participating and asking such great questions. A few housekeeping notes before we get started. I just want to let everyone know to please rename themselves if you haven't already. If you're calling in from a cell phone, we will probably text you and find out who you are and then rename you during this call. So also more importantly, we want to remind everyone that please keep your questions and comments nonpartisan and neutral. We're here to work together. So thank you all for being here today. And now I want to move on to introducing our moderator for this program, Jeff Edelman. Without him, we wouldn't be able to have even started any of these webinars. He has been such a great collaborator for us since the beginning. He is the president of ABOTA Fort Lauderdale and a member of the PBCJA, and has just been absolutely instrumental in helping us create these events, find topics, find speakers, allowing us to use his Zoom account, and also in the very early days, he taught us how to actually use Zoom. So Jeff, thank you so much for all that you've done. I think as a non-lawyer, when I was looking at your website to look at the bio to how I should present you, one of the things that really struck me was on your About Us page on your firm's philosophy is that constant communication is an essential part of how you run your business. And I think that speaks directly to your involvement in wanting to help us create these webinars and share content with both colleagues and competitors, knowing that having the information about how the law is changing during this pandemic and the ways that we can still move cases forward no matter what side you're practicing on is going to be beneficial to the process as a whole. So without further ado, Jeff, thank you for your continued support, and I will now turn the floor over to you.
Wow, thank you so much, Christy. That was really wonderful for you to say all that. I never realized when I got into podcasting and interviewing people for fun that I would be doing my entire practice that way the following year, and that's kind of what happened and why I knew a lot of those things. But the Palm Beach County Justice Association is very close to my heart. Working with Adriana Gonzalez, Andrew Harris, Pete Hunt, DJ Ward, and the rest of my friends over there. Just so happened we were in leadership positions at the same time, and it's been an absolute pleasure working with you, and the judicial support for what we've been doing has been essential to the success. And I think that really with all of these different programs that we've been doing, especially the ones with ABOTA every Friday, it's going to make us all better. It's going to make us all practice better in, I don't want to say the new normal because I saw that meme with Samuel L. Jackson from Pulp Fiction. Say new normal one more time. I don't want to do that, but I just did. But in any event, this is a very special program today because I get to moderate for my dear friend and mentor, Jamie Holland of Holland Law. I want to tell you a little bit about Jamie. He practices up in Jacksonville, but he's licensed in Alabama and Georgia as well. And most of his cases involve federal railroad workers because those are excluded from general workers' comp claims. So it's a little bit different. So I had the pleasure of second sharing a case with Jamie a few years ago, and I got to see him in action with all his technological knowledge, and it was just fascinating. He started out wanting to be an actor and was on several soap operas, including The Young and the Restless. And he has brought his creativity to litigation, which has really made him so successful. And in today's times, I thought there was nobody better to really talk with us about how we can all advance our clients' cases through the embracing of technology. Because whether you like it or not, you better get used to it, because this is here to stay. Right now, if you go on the ABOTA Fort Lauderdale, ABOTAFTL.org website, there's a link to a mock jury trial that we did with the judges of the Broward County Circuit Court. On June 5th, we're going to be trying a virtual voir dire. In Texas, they are doing a summary jury trial on Zoom. And again, it's going to get better and better. There's going to be some problems, but you don't want to have distractions from what you're trying to present to your clients, and to the judges. So Jamie is here to kind of go through all of that, give you some program information and some basic tips that you can do to make your presentations better, because really we're all producing television shows now. So that's why I felt it was critical to have somebody like Jamie Holland, who is a member of the Jacksonville ABOTA chapter. And again, he's been awarded the Mickey Smiley Award by the Florida Justice Association for his mentorship of young attorneys, and is involved with setting up the Alcone trial skills workshop with the FJA as well. He takes a lot of pride in teaching. So without further ado, I am very, very happy to present to you my friend, Jamie Holland.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I very much appreciate it. Christy, thanks for having us all here today and getting all this organized. And thanks for everybody for taking your time. I very much appreciate it. Let me tell you, technology, I've been a geek for a long time, is about the best way I can describe it. I can remember coming out of high school, building an 8088 IBM computer that you had to put a 5 1/4 inch floppy disk in to boot the operating system up in. And I've always looked for ways to put it to the test, particularly in trials. Now, here's one thing that we've got to realize. I started my own law practice, went out on my own at a very opportune or inopportune time. Right before COVID-19 hit, I had my law office up and running and was putting furniture in. And it gave me a chance to really look for ways to incorporate technology in my law office, as well as back when trials start up again. And I was just at the Duval County Courthouse yesterday on the task force on how to do that. I think some of the things that we're going to be talking about here today are going to be incorporated in the trials of the future. Now, if you came here looking for all the answers, I don't have them. I've got some ideas that I think when incorporated will be helpful to you. But here's one thing that I'm seeing in focus groups during COVID-19. Here's one thing I'm seeing when I talk to people. Technology has begun to represent safety, protection. If you employ it, particularly in the COVID-19 quarantine, you generate trust. And if you can provide a technology solution, particularly to a jury, you develop a relationship. Well, those are all things that we're trying to do as we engage back with juries and try to develop those trusting relationships. Now, here are some examples of how quickly things have changed in the last 60 days. When Jeff initially asked me to put this presentation together, I had various software solutions, hardware solutions to technical problems. Well, as I logged on today and went to share my screen in Zoom, one of those solutions was incorporated by Zoom, because Zoom is changing with updates every week. And while I had intended to talk to you about Reflectors 3, which is a program which allows you to take your iPad and put it onto, did I just lose my content? Let's see. Oh, it looks like I'm viewing Judge Phillips' screen.
Let me see. Oh, okay, we got it back.
Allows you to share your screen. Now, it allows you to share your iPad onto an IBM or an Apple and then share it in Zoom. You don't need that anymore because Zoom has now incorporated a share by AirPlay mode. So it's very useful. Now, I want to talk to you about 5 topics. One is, it's a project that I incorporated as I built my office out over the past 60 days. And you're going to get to meet Alexa, who's my virtual receptionist. Why? Well, if you think of our exposure points as lawyers, our exposure points as law offices, the reception area is one of the prime exposure points. And rather than put a human being to interact with the public, a product recently came out in the last 60 days and we've incorporated as a virtual receptionist. The second one is making virtual witnesses seem real. This is something that's going to be incorporated the first trial I try when I come back, and I'm going to talk to you about that. The third one is how to huddle in a virtual space. And I've used this in the past 60 days and started to see its effect and seen its effect on clients, and including client signups. Fourth is speeding ahead in Zoom. And the fifth topic I'm going to talk to you about is taking the best virtual video demo. Here's Alexa. If you walk into my law office, and I'm going to play a clip of what it looks like at the end of this presentation so you can get to see it, you will see not a real person, a virtual person. This is Alexa, the original Alexa. This is Alexa Schmidt, who lives in California, but can serve as my virtual receptionist. And here's my forecast. And this product came out about 30 days ago, this hardware product. It came out through Sharp Technology, but it's got, as you'll see, and I can highlight it for you, up at the top here, that's a sound bar. It's also a microphone. It's also a video camera. And from 30 feet away, you can talk, and it can hear you clearly. From 30
Is
feet away.
everybody seeing that? Because I'm not sure I'm seeing that.
You're not sure you're seeing the highlight?
No.
Can you
I
see
do
that?
not see it either.
All right. What about that annotation? Are you seeing the slide itself or just not the annotation?
Nothing.
I think you need to share your screen again.
All right, let me do that. Let's see.
Okay.
And by the way, there's nothing more anxiety-ridden than planning on talking about tech with tech. Let's see. Let me go back to Zoom. All right, let's see. Let me go back to share screen. iPad by AirPlay. Share.
There we go. I see it says James
All right.
Holland starting screen sharing again.
All right, let's see if we can. I am screen sharing.
Is this being blocked by everyone's picture at the top?
I don't know.
I'm just not getting it at all either.
It's a black screen, but it says you're starting to screen share, Jamie.
All right, well, let's see. New share.
I mean, it says I'm viewing James Holland's screen, but what I'm
Yeah.
seeing is James Holland.
I know. It's a disappointing thing when you want to see my screen and you see me instead. And this is a lesson in tech, because if it can fail, it will fail. Let me go to, here's what
See a woman
The Alexa.
this
and a desk.
receptionist.
Yeah.
Walk into my office.
Oh, and one thing, Jamie, you did that worked for us is you
Now-
moved people over to the right.
Here's why I use Alexa. She can be in my office in another room and be beaming out to the front. I can put her on auto where people just select who they want to talk to in my office, and they will actually select on a Microsoft Teams format, and they will actually beam to a webcam of somebody at my office. Now, here is why I think this is going to be important. It's going to be very important because of, I'm trying to fix a tech problem at the same time. There we go. It's going to be important as we go forward to protect not only our staff, but it's also going to be important to protect jurors. All right, now let's try.
I love the choo-choo train bookends, Jamie. Those are great.
Yeah, that's pretty much, let me get rid of this and let me go to, all right. Output. All right, one more.
How many screens are you using during this webinar, Jamie?
Well, I can tell you during this webinar, I am using my iPad, which I have here. I am using in front of me is a 70-inch Sharp smartboard. It's the one I use at trial. To my right, I have a backup computer in case everything fails and I need to get on my backup computer. I also have another computer with a smartboard set up in a huddle room, so I can go to that if I need to. So I am using multiples because that's, let's see if that, can you see that now?
Yes.
All right, I've got my PowerPoint back.
Good.
Here's Alexa, there's the speaker, the microphone set up, and the camera. It's all wrapped up in one. And when people come and and sign in the office, they can simply interact with this keyboard here. Now, here's the back of it. I put a Mac Mini on it. You can do it cheaper with a shuttle PC, but here's why this was developed, and here's why this was utilized. It was begun to utilize, and as I understand it, implemented 30 days ago in some hospitals because they were trying to do intakes without exposing their intake people to sick patients, particularly COVID-19 patients. So this is starting to really take on in the medical arena. It's also being used at least by one doctor that I know because he asked me what I was using and I told him about it. He's using it in telemedicine because he can get with this 4K screen, you can get really high definition and you can pick up details just as though you were sitting in front of the person. And here are the specs. It's a 50-inch 4K board, sound bar, embedded video, embedded microphone. Now, why do I think this is going to be important to us as we go forward trial? I suspect we may be putting on a lot more witnesses by Skype, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Blue Jeans, pick your technology. But this is what we're going to be using, or at least what I'm going to be using in the witness stand itself. I plan on rolling this board and displaying it. Now, why this board? Well, a live witness is going to be about the same size as my displayed witness. The 4K display is actually better than the resolution that the eye can see. So in the same for the
Jamie, we're having a little bit of problems hearing you. We're having a little problem. It's going in and out.
it's an internet connection. Internet connection was unstable.
Hold on one second, everybody.
How about that?
That's better.
All right. And listen, both for a virtual witness or for any other technology, you've got to prepare a backup. In fact, the case that Jeff told you about that we did 10 years ago was a case in front of Judge Butchko in Dade County. First case.
Oh, hold on. Hold on. We didn't hear. Jamie?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. It may get chattery, and these are the same problems we're going to face as witnesses, particularly everybody's using the internet right now. Everybody's using bandwidth, and as bandwidth gets scarce, videos tend to chatter, jitter, and the first thing to go is usually audio. Am I sounding better now, Jeff?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, good. And just cue me when it happens, and I'll take a brief pause and we'll get it back. This
Well,
is,
and again, even when this happens with depositions, you're going to have to do this. So this is something that will happen in real life too.
it'll happen in real life. And in fact, the case we Skyped in a witness 10 years ago, it was a Palm Beach neurosurgeon who decided to evade his subpoena and head out to a Colorado survival camp. And we had him zoomed in with a laptop computer. It was actually Skype at that point. And he looked like he was a foreign war correspondent. But it was effective enough for the jury because we got a pretty good result. Here's one of the issues, and I'll tell you the warts as well as what I think is going to be the wonderful results. Zoom currently operates in landscape format. It doesn't operate in profile format. And if you think of landscape is wide format, profile is tall format. Well, the image on your left is actually run in Microsoft Teams, which does well in profile format. And it has a setting where you can do profile format. Zoom currently doesn't have that setting. Everything in Zoom is you Zoom a witness. I'm not going to.
We're having a problem of hearing you again, Jamie.
Technologically capability. So it's not going to be as.
Jamie, we're having a problem again. It's going in and out.
All right. Well, let's see if. What you may be able to do is Jeff, try to, or let me do this. I'm going to mute my picture.
Mm-hmm.
It will, you don't really need to see me as much as you need to hear me, and it may improve. If it's not sending the video channel, sometimes it improves audio. Am I sounding better?
Yeah, you sound fine.
Okay. Well, just let me know, and I'll talk without.
I went out again.
All right. Well, let's go to Jeff. Can you actually clue in the huddle space? Because I'm going to switch to the huddle space now.
Sure, let me find that. When you say cue it in, I just want to make sure I understand. You want me to show the screen? Okay. We're getting everything together. Jamie, is that it? I can hear you, yes. Yeah, I see you right there. Okay. Perfect.
All right, now you can probably hear me better.
I can hear you, yes.
This is a space we create a is it good or no?
The sound is going in and out, but it looks like you're in
All right.
front of like a
Well,
conference table.
look at the and we'll pick up the sound. And in fact, what is, let me close this out.
It looks like you're in front of like a table with chairs.
And Jeff, if you will do me a favor
Sure.
and just close the huddle space out of the meeting, because what it will do is it will free up some bandwidth on my end.
Sure. Stop video.
Yeah, just uninvite me to the meeting in the huddle
All
space.
right. Maybe, hey, Andrew, can you kick out the huddle space one?
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
Thanks.
Or Christy or, okay, I'll take care of it here.
Great. Thanks.
Well, hopefully my sound will come back as I
Yeah.
free up bandwidth.
I
What
can't
if-
remove you as a co-host right now. I don't,
Okay.
Christy, can you do it as the originator?
Yep, I'm trying right now.
What's the reason for doing a huddle space like this, Jamie?
Well, I can tell you in corporate America uses it to virtually connect offices and connect groups of people so they can work together cooperatively and still see each other.
Right.
I use it for a slightly different purpose because so many of the cases I do are co-counseling. It's a good space for me to zoom in with other people. I actually had this space set up with a 6x6 table. It allows me to automatically social distance. But more importantly, if you kind of look at the screen in the space, I built this space with one intent in mind. My thought on it is all important decisions growing up are done in one place, the kitchen table. I wanted to replicate that because I found when I take clients, instead of taking them into my conference room, when I take them into this room and I show them and we meet at the huddle space, it is a much more pleasant experience. They're more relaxed. When I speak to them from the huddle space instead of in my office, it's a much different experience for them because they tend to relax more and enjoy more. So it's a useful alternative and it just gives a different feel.
What I find interesting about this, Jamie, is the way you have the camera set up, it actually looks like you're sitting at the table with the client or with the co-counsel, even if they're not there, the way it looks on the television.
Correct. And you know, it's got some of the same technology I showed you on the virtual witness. It's got the sound bar, video bar, microphone, which gives you great audio up to 30 feet away. Now, I will tell you, this is a smart board, which means I can write on it, I can interact with it. It's like a big iPad on the wall. In fact, I think Sharp calls them their big pad.
They have them in a lot of schools, actually.
Kids are using them, and I've been using smartboard technology for, what, 8 years now? And it really helps hone the jury's focus to what I want them to look at. And we're really fortunate up here in Duval. We've got a really good technology officer, Mike Smith. He basically bought smartboards for the courthouse, and we've got 5 or 6 or 7 of them now. That we now have the second generation of smartboards, and they're pretty effective. In fact, I've built, I think, 3 or 4 of these for other lawyers from time to time.
Who
And
makes this? Who makes them? What manufacturer?
there are a variety of them. He's the one that keeps me abreast of new technology, which is where the virtual witness stand came from. So that's my preference, but there are others on the market as well.
Did you say Sharp Technology?
Sharp Technology. And they're called Aquos boards. AQUOS is the brand that I've used, but I've seen several others. In fact, the new generation at the Duval County Courthouse, I think, is actually called Smartboard. I've also been to my buddy Dan Williams's office, and he's got a mock trial courtroom set up, and I think his is a Mitsubishi product, but it works really well. For me, it does. And this particular board, one of the things that I like about it, for those people that are bringing trial paralegal to their trials, the technology is now when you use this board and you interact with it by pen or by mouse, it actually wirelessly communicates with a laptop computer, and it will move the mouse on the laptop itself. Well, why I like that is it's going to give me the ability to have my paralegal, my trial paralegal, selecting the exhibits from her laptop while I merely annotate them on the board, which allows me to do what I do better, which is focus on the jury, focus on the evidence, and let her get the exhibit selection right. So it allows me to split that task off, and it's pretty helpful.
A little bit more about the virtual witness stand. You have that on wheels so you can wheel it in?
Yeah, let me show you.
Mm-hmm.
It's on wheels. I have a trailer a utility trailer that I use for my smartboard. I'm going to build a space in it right behind my smartboard to carry my virtual witness stand. In every trial I go to, I wheel in my smartboard, and now I'm going to wheel in my virtual witness stand. And I will tell you, I suspect, and again, I'm forecasting, I don't know, because this product's only been out for 30 days. I suspect we're going to start seeing these more and more in hearing rooms. I made a suggestion to Sharp that they put these on a pivot stand so that the judge can, if it's in a hearing room, the judge can turn these so that they're in a landscape format by pivoting them. And that way they'll have more utility. If you pivot it into a landscape format, it's more useful for zooming an entire panel. If you do it in a portrait format, it's better for a singular witness. But either way, I think it's going to be fairly useful, and I hope courthouses start incorporating them, because think about it. As you go to trial, what is your single greatest expense? It's your expert witness. Well, if you can zoom in or virtual witness board in your expert witness, you'll pay for the board by putting up one expert witness, because his travel time, or what he charges you for his travel time, will exceed the cost of the board. So,
no doubt. I mean, I think that it definitely can bring the cost down of litigation. There was a good question on the chat right now, Jamie, and it kind of leads to your next topic. Harry Shevin said, any concern about using demonstrative aids with a witness on a profile view?
no, because here's my plan. I'm going to have my virtual witness stand on the witness stand. I'm going to have my expert's laptop connected into my smartboard. So when the expert is referring to a exhibit, it will show on the smartboard. The witness will be testifying in profile from the witness stand. So I will do it just the same way I would do it in trial if I had a live witness on the witness stand. I'll be interacting with the exhibit on the smartboard. The witness will be testifying from the display in the witness stand.
All right, well, I thought that was a good question.
That's
a
great question.
I know that, it's already 11:40. I want to make sure we get everything in. I want to talk a little bit about something you showed me several years ago, trial pad using Apple AirPlay with an Apple TV. And then there's other stuff that we can do right now. I kind of wanted to move on to that and see if you could show us that. I just have real quick, there's a question from Judge Rodriguez. When this rarely happens in a hearing, I have them mute the computer sound and use one of the provided phone numbers for sound. Oh, he's just talking about something you can do if you're having an issue with audio. And that's a very good suggestion, phoning it in, because the connection for the audio is going to be better than broadband.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I attempted to phone into the Zoom meeting when we started. It wouldn't connect right, so I had to go with computer audio. But in fact, the trial I did 10 years ago with Judge Butchko, we had the same problem. We ended up breaking the audio feed out, and I used my phone on speakerphone, and we used the board to display the video. There was a slight difference, but now the next slide is just to show you can't do a tech talk without a reference to Star Trek. I like Zoom. It is, in my mind, the most stable platform there. But what I see people, and I've done 4 virtual mediations, virtual depositions, multiple virtual meetings in the last 60 days. But here's some things that I wish people would think about. Wardrobe. Think about what you're wearing. I have seen some horror stories on wardrobe. It's not sitting in your bedroom chatting. Put on a suit. You're not going to catch any respect from the judge if you're not treating the event with the same respect you would as if you showed up live. Lights, camera, and action. And here's a good example of a well thought out camera action portrait. What I mean by that is good lighting on the face, good background, and the person is in focus. I spent a while thinking about what I was doing with this background when I did virtual meetings. You need to give some consideration to what your background is saying. And if you use, I suspect you're using green screen right now, Jeff?
I'm actually not. I went on Fiverr. I don't know if some people might be familiar, Fiverr, and I had somebody put this one together for me, but this way you don't see the mess behind me and it's just understated. And I just use this generally when I'm speaking to people through Zoom, but there's no green screen right now.
Well, if you're going to use green screen, or if you're going to use a virtual background through Zoom, there are a couple of tips. Number one, make sure the lighting on the background is fairly even, and make sure you're not wearing the same color as the background, because those will cause some significant issues. Now, personally, I'm not a big fan of virtual backgrounds. I like yours, Jeff, and it looks really good, but sometimes you end up with a really black line around your body, and it's not the best thing. And sometimes I've seen people do virtual webinars and their hands will go in and out of the screen. The things they're holding will go in and out of the virtual background, and it just looks glitzy and quirky. The other thing I've seen is backlighting. I cannot tell you how many Zoom participants I have seen that look like they're in witness protection. If you've got too much backlighting, it's not going to work. And the other thing is listen, I don't happen to be a sweater, which is good, but if you are a sweater and you tend to profusely sweat a lot, the best thing is one of those old powder pads they use for makeup. But the next best thing is just keep some Kleenex around and dab yourself, because otherwise you'll end up with a very blotchy appearance, which is what you see here on the left, which is a video depo clip. Here's another, and listen, if there's one takeaway today, it's key light. This is one that I bought on Amazon. I think Elgato is who makes it. There are several. You can get them for down to 20 to 30 bucks. The biggest mistake I see people making is not having enough light on their face. And this is your billboard. If it's not well lit, you're not communicating effectively. And as I look down even the people that are on the Zoom call, there are some without effective key lighting. And if you're doing that on a conference call, a Zoom conference, or a Zoom hearing before the court, you're not communicating effectively because you can't be seen. Now, this is simply a key light that I've mounted on a mini camera tripod. Now, I use this as my backup, and I teach a local mock trial team, a high school mock trial team. This selfie stick tripod setup is what I use for them to film themselves. You can run an entire Zoom meeting using your cell phone using this setup. Now, what is the advantage? The advantage is it's very portable. If I get caught out in my car and all of a sudden I've got to do a hearing, I can pull over, find a quiet space, and set up a Zoom meeting fairly quickly. This particular one I think is like $29 on Amazon, and it's made by Fugitek, Fujitec. Now, here's the other. We recently did a trial school by ABOTA and Inns of Court here in Duval County. The entirety of the participants, we used their own cell phones and these selfie stick tripods. And then we used Apple TVs and monitors to play back and show them what they were doing. And it was so much easier than cameras and transferring SD cards and the replay, because it put the tech in the hands of the younger participants who were frankly better at it than any of us judges who were doing it.
Well, that's all really important advice. And again, we're putting on television productions at this point, right?
We are. And if you want to see some good Zoom conferencing, get on and watch a video logger. Get on and watch some video loggers, particularly the gamers. They tend to be the best of the best because they're making their living getting people to watch them. And they've got some really good technology use. They've got some great lighting use. And you can run literally a studio setup for less than probably $1,200. And here's an example. This is the photographs that I'm sharing with you. I've got a local videographer who shoots my video depots. He was kind enough to share with me what his technology is. He uses here on the left a recording deck, which I think the one he's got is a couple $100. The one I looked at is maybe $300 to $400. But you can actually see what's being recorded. And what I like about this setup the most is actually this. You can use it for Zoom. You can use it for video depots. And here's what it is. It's a switcher. If you have a video feed from a camera, you plug it in. If you have a video feed from a screen, like a computer screen, you plug it in. And then using this deck, you simply push a button, that source comes up. You switch it to another button, another source comes up. And you can switch sources just as if you're in a TV studio, and you can even do things like run picture in a picture by hitting these buttons here. And it's just a way of switching back and forth. And here's where this is going to become important. I typically use for documents when I'm in a deposition or otherwise, I use a document camera. And my favorite is actually one that I picked up at a Mark Lanier seminar. It's called a IPVO. And this, you can connect this wirelessly, connect it with an HDMI camera, but you used to have to pay about $1,000 for a document camera. This thing does 4K, a very high resolution, and it costs less than $300. It's IPEEVO, and I saw a lot of things at that seminar, but my favorite takeaway was the IPVO document camera. it really just helps the situation out.
Jamie, before we go, I just wanted to, you had mentioned that there is a change. Also, you got the document camera there. You want to finish up with that. I see you can get it on Amazon.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that we talk about the changes, because I know you were going to talk about Reflector 3, but it sounds like now with TrialPad and Apple products, you probably don't even need that.
No, you don't need it now that you can, at least with Zoom. Now, I don't know about the other platforms that if you're using Blue Jeans, Microsoft Teams, Reflector 3 might be a really good solution, but here's what Reflector 3 is. It's a $19 product you can download off the internet. You load it on your computer, and it doesn't matter whether it's an Apple product or it doesn't matter whether it's an IBM product. Once it's loaded up, your iPad will connect and appear on the screen just as though it's an actual, just like you're using AirPlay like you use with Apple TV. And it really helps free the wiring of having to wire your iPad in. You can keep your iPad wireless and have it work fairly effectively. So those are possibilities. That's pretty much my tech suggestions. I apologize for the glitches. It's something you're going to have. I will also tell you this. If you're going to use tech at trial, my strongest suggestion would be backup, backup, backup. When I was planning on appearing by phone, I have my AirPod Pro. I have my wireless in case, or my wired in case those fail. And if all of that fails, I even have another set of AirPods. I've got another computer here completely set up where if I have to log into Zoom because my smartboard crashes, I can do that. It's like flying a plane. Every system has to have redundancy if you're going to use tech, because I have been doing tech at trials from back when I think one of the original presentations was Corel Presentations. That was their version of PowerPoint. And it was 20 some odd years ago. I have done over 40 or 50 trials with tech since, and I can tell you how many trials I've gone through without a tech mess up. 0. It's going to happen. You just have to plan for it and deal with it.
Jamie, if anybody has any questions afterwards, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
If you have any questions after, if you want to source any of the tech that I've talked about, email me at jamie@holland.law. I'll be happy to answer any questions you've got. I'll be happy to help you out. And in fact, there's at least one Palm Beach lawyer that I know of where I drove down and helped him set up his smartboard because he wanted it set up like he had seen mine set up. So.
Well, again, Jamie, I can't thank you enough for coming and presenting for us. I wanted to open it up if anybody had any specific questions or anything like that. Do you have some time to answer some questions?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions, any problems that you're having with Zoom or with presenting, anything like that? I want to make sure I let everybody have a chance. And I want to thank Scott Constantino for being on this Zoom call. I know you know Scott very well, Jamie, but he is the president of Florida ABOTA, and he was joining us today. Jamie,
So Jeff,
Jeff,
I've got a question.
Sure.
Okay. Hey, Jamie. For our members here who are small firm practitioners, you know, our solos, the people who may not have the financial resources of our larger firms, and especially in our economic times, what is the cost to get this technology? I know you mentioned the savings with experts, but practically, how would our younger lawyers, our small firm practitioners, you know, financially upkeep this technology?
It's implementation and its upkeep, and I'll give you an example. On the smartboard that I take to trial, by the time I have my smartboard, my trailer, everything wrapped up in that system, I probably got $15,000 wrapped up in that. It's not cheap, but it allows me to do things that not a lot of other lawyers are doing in the courtroom. The virtual receptionist. I will tell you, and I'll tell you the economic decision that brought me into the virtual receptionist. I was given a quote to do a standard sign with plastic and LED lights with a metal overlay. That sign quote was like $3,000. I was like, you got to be kidding me, for a sign to put in my reception area? And I was not going to do it. And then I was talking to my buddy, and he says, well, listen, we just got this product out. And I started doing the math. I'm starting to think, okay, I could do a receptionist. I could rotate that function around my office because, listen, nothing against receptionists, but I've always worked in mid-sized to small-sized firms. And the receptionist I see is typically playing solitaire. It's not productive work. And we don't have a lot of people coming in and out of the office. So my thought was, well, listen, why don't I just make it a virtual receptionist? As people walk in, the 3 or 4 times during the day they walk in, we'll just divvy that task out, and I don't have to hire someone specifically for that task. So the economics in the long run was a savings. The other thing is the economics of taking it to trial. Now my receptionist is going to disappear when I'm in trial because I'm taking that board to trial. But, you know, when I started thinking scheduling, problems, I can take this iPad or one like it, set it up with Zoom ready to go. All they got to do is hit a button, send it to a treating doctor's office and say, doctor, just plug this in, hit the button at 2 o'clock tomorrow, and you'll be appearing in front of the jury. Well, is that doctor going to give me a $10,000 a day price point? Or it's going to take him 20 minutes in the office? He's going to give me, you know, maybe $1,000 a day price point. Well, that's a pretty big savings. So, you know, and listen, I'm now a small firm guy. It's me. It's a boutique trial practice with really bad timing because I opened it right before COVID-19, and trials are going to be a long way away. But when I start figuring out trial costs and where to save, these tech solutions are typically where I see the savings. And,
Thanks, Jamie.
and
There was a question, Jamie, from Bobby Gonzalez. What is the virtual receptionist technology? Is it a service? And I think that I'll take that a step further. Do you have the same receptionist every time, or is it something where they have a service and you just have whoever is available?
Well, I will tell you, here is the service. It's Microsoft Teams is what's running, and it's beamed to people in my office who will simply, somebody's tasked with, you got reception duty today, and it's simply the hardware with Microsoft Teams. Now, if I wanted to, and I suspect, again, I'm forecasting because the product's only been out for 30 days, but I suspect just like you have a service that answers your telephones, I suspect you're going to see crop-ups doing virtual receptionist services where they will be the receptionist for your law firm and 10 other law firms. And you'll pay a service fee. Now, that doesn't exist right now, but given the COVID world, wait 24 hours, wait 48 hours. It'll exist.
Well, you already have it at your bank. I've had it where I go into neighborhoods and I'm speaking to somebody not in Florida for security, which, you know, it's kind of strange, but it's there. The technology is available.
And if I wanted to do it, I could set up the Alexa feed as just the video that plays when they come in the door and put 4 Zoom buttons or 4 team buttons on the bottom where they come in and click on it, and they would open up to the webcam of my assistant Paige. It would open up the webcam of me if they wanted to talk to me. It would open up to my other legal assistant, Sandra. I can automate it completely where people can come in, access who they want to, have a conversation. And if somebody needs to go out and talk to them, that's great. But they still get the appearance of a real person experience.
Well, and that's pretty much what we've all been doing for 2 months.
Exactly. Or, you know, if I have a receptionist, but she's a high-risk person, I can have her sitting in her home with an iPad connected. And I've done this, I've run that board on FaceTime as well. You can run it on FaceTime. And you could just simply use that and have her doing her reception duties from her kitchen table. She'd probably want a little better background, but that's the idea.
Just to be clear, somebody had asked about if it was a physical person or AI. It's a physical person.
Right.
So I just wanted to make sure we're clear about that. Before we conclude, yes, there are CLE credits for this very valuable webinar. Christy was kind enough to post it up on the screen for you. If you can't see it, the reference number for the Florida Bar is 2003-182, N as in Nancy. It's for 2 general credits and 2 technology credits. So it's 4 credits, again, being provided for free by the Palm Beach County Justice Association and ABOTA. And so we're very happy to do that. Does anybody have any? Oh, Jamie, somebody also asked if you wouldn't mind putting together a list of some of the products that you were talking about, and I could share that on the ABOTA website. And I know Palm Beach County Justice said that they would share it on the listserv as well.
Yeah, I will. What I'll do is I'll put together a list, and if anybody, you know, needs contact information on where to get it, let me know.
Okay, and I'm just going to put your email address up again. Jamie, Jamie @holland.law.
Right.
Okay.
It's a difficult one to remember.
Yes, you really went above and beyond trying to make it hard to remember. So
yeah, I put some real thought into that.
Well, Jamie, thank you so much for doing this for everybody, because I mean, you've been kind enough to share a lot of this information with me, but I knew that it was valuable to everybody now, and you're always ahead of the curve. So for you to share your expertise on this with everybody, it's invaluable. I know that everybody really, really appreciates it.
Well, thank you all for having me. And listen, if anybody wants to talk tech, call me. I like to geek out. So.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much. Again, I encourage you to go on to abotaftl.org to take a look at the mock jury trial that we did. It was pretty cool. We had Andrew Harris was one of our jurors. Adriana served as the mock court reporter. I was the defendant. Let's see, Brent Reitman was the plaintiff's doctor. Eric Rosen was plaintiff's attorney. We had Rick Penalta as one of the defense attorneys. Rebecca Brock as a plaintiff's attorney, and Adele Blackmore as the defense attorneys. Well, it was really fun. And Miles McGrain was a 13-year-old motocross kid. So that was very cool. So again, I appreciate everybody listening, watching, and I wish all of you a happy Memorial Day, or
Jeff,
good Memorial Day. And
Jeff.
Yes.
Hey, Jeff, I think Christy has some closing words too.
Oh, sure. Christy, I will stop talking to let you close this out. Just thank you, everybody. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And if you have any topics, of course, reach out to Adriana or myself.
Christy
Fox. You there, Christy?
So it's okay. I'm not sure if we lost her, but I just want to thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jamie, for a wonderful presentation. We look forward to getting the list because I'm sure a lot of us will want to invest. I just got changed into upgrading my lighting situation, and it definitely makes a huge difference. So just a reminder that we will be back next Wednesday for the plaintiffs only webinar. The Liggio law firm will be presenting on health insurance claims. And then we will be back on Friday with our co-hosted event next week with the ABOTA chapters on mental health and the new benefits that the Florida Bar has launched for us to be able to benefit from, especially during this really stressful time. But again, thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Christy. Thank you to everyone who has been attending these webinars. We're going to try to keep them going for as long as we can and for as long as people are interested. So keep sharing your thoughts on what we should be including in these programs, and we'll try to make them happen for you guys.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes.
Someone has asked a question about the mock jury trial. So for anybody who wants to stay on, do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Sure.
I mean, people can
Mock
sign
jury
off,
trial,
obviously.
it was Chief Judge Jack Tudor presided over it. We came up with a scenario. It was a premises liability case. And what we did was we tried to run a trial within 2 hours to figure out all of the different issues that could happen to see if it could be done. Now, just like you saw at points during the presentation, there were some issues with some bandwidth. You know, everybody has different bandwidth and sometimes needed to repeat. But I was very impressed with the fact that it could be done. It's just that we have to get some of the logistics together. But it was fascinating to watch. A lot of the technological advancements of late were used by the attorneys. I'm not sure if Jamie has seen it, but there was use of TrialPad, there was use of PowerPoint, and the backgrounds said plaintiff and defense. Now, there were some issues that have come up in the after meeting. One of the things I'm concerned about is virtual backgrounds, and yes, I have a virtual background right now, but I think the problem is we have to ensure that there is nobody interfering with a witness or a juror. That's why I think that virtual backgrounds for trials probably aren't a very good idea and probably should not be allowed unless you can prevent that. But we are moving forward with a mock voir dire on June 5th. And we may need some jurors for that. I will let everybody know. I'll let Adriana and Andrew know about that. Now extends the moratorium on jury trials, I'd say when. So I think it's really, we need to be thinking about these things. And so yes, it was recorded. You can go to the abotaftl.org website, or even go on the 17th Judicial Circuit website for Broward County. It's right on the front page. You can watch it. It's up on YouTube. I would encourage you to at least watch a little bit. We have, you know, a ways to go to make sure that this is going to be something that we can do and be fair and consider a diverse jury. I mean, there is a data divide in this country. Some people have access to good internet. Some people don't have a computer. So we need to make sure that that is fair, that we have juries that represent our society. So these are the things, the logistics that we're working on right now. But if anybody has any other specific questions about that mock jury trial, I'm happy to answer them. Does not appear that there are any more. All right, Adriana, anything else?
No, I think that's it. We'll go ahead and share the link of the mock virtual jury trial on Trial Talk as well. And then when we have the video ready from the jury selection, from next week, we will post that as well.
Right, and again, it is up on our web. Mitch Chester did put it up on our website. You go on to ABOTA.ftl.org and scroll down a little bit. You'll see it. We're very curious to get feedback, so please let me know what you think, what we can do better. Again, you would have never imagined something like this 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But if we don't have any jury trials, I mean, everything's going to come to a grinding halt. And I think that we've had support of the judges. We're taking everybody's feedback.
And I want to point out just that right now it's, both parties would have to agree to this. They're not going to be compelled if we ever do figure out how to do it. Both parties would have to agree. And the digital divide is certainly something that is at the very top of the issues that need to be worked out before this becomes a real thing. And so we understand that not everyone has access to the same types of computers or the same type of internet speed. So I think everyone who has participated in these meetings so far have all, made this as one of the biggest concerns, is making sure that people of all means can participate as jurors. And so I know that the initial reaction is very much like, absolutely not, no way. We're not gonna have enough people who can serve on these, panels, but these are all concerns that are being addressed and they're priority concerns.
And there's a lot of empty space right now that isn't being used. There's a lot of county buildings where people could potentially remotely go and log in. Broward County owns the BB&T Center where the Panthers play. There's lots of different opportunities there as long as people are creative with leadership. Again, it's not ideal, but I don't know how long this is going to be going on, and we need to at least be thinking about it to not have the wheels of justice come to a grinding halt as they have in many ways the past few months. I'm very thankful for the judiciary's support in Broward County and Palm Beach and Miami for really leading the way for Zoom hearings and making sure that depositions can go forward, mediations can go forward, because at least there's that, but we got to deal, the jury trial issue is, critical. So, well, thank you everybody for your time. And again, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.